Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're doing anime underrated or overrated. And as you can see, to start off with, we have Attack on Titan. Now, I'm going to put this in heavily overrated. Now, if you don't understand what is going on here, we are going to be ranking anime I have seen, whether they are underrated or overrated. Now, I should probably explain the Attack on Titan one, because I'm going to get a lot of hate for it, because people love Attack on Titan. I really don't like the Titans, and I think Season 1 and 2 are kind of predictable. I think Titans are pretty boring because I hate mechs and I hate zombies, and that's pretty much what Titans are put together, so I just find them incredibly boring. So yeah, for me, it's heavily overrated because I don't get why people like Titans. I think it's probably one of the lamest things you could do, but again, obviously, you know, I'm ready for all the AOT fans to be like, what are you talking about? Oh, this isn't that right. But yeah, I just don't like it, so let's move on. Obviously, you know, if I don't like your show, if I say it's overrated, if I say it's underrated or whatever, it's just my opinion. We're just doing this for fun, so it's not a big deal at the end of the day, right? But I don't like Attack on Titan because of the Titans. They are kind of boring. Next we have Baki. So this is Baki and Baki Hanma. I think I'm honestly going to put it perfectly rated. I think people know that, like, it's a decent fighting show, but it's not, like, anything spectacular, so I'll go perfectly rated. Next, we have Beyblade. I'm doing Beyblade in its entirety, not just Metal Fusion, but Metal Fusion is a banger. I would say Beyblade is somewhat underrated. I think a lot of people that have seen it know it's good, but if you haven't seen it, you might think it's just, like, a childish kids show, which it is a little bit, but it's also very good, so I'm going to put somewhat underrated. Next, we have Bleach. I like Bleach, but I do think it's the worst in the big three. But that's also common perception, I guess. It's like the common opinion. But Bleach fans are so loud in my comments that it makes me want to put it in somewhat overrated. Because it is good, but I always see a lot of people like Bleach is the best in the big three, which just is so far from the truth. Bleach is definitely the worst in the big three, in my opinion. So I think I'm going to put it somewhat overrated just because there are a lot of people that do overrate it, although I think the consensus do know that, like, Naruto and One Piece are better, but a lot of people still try to put it above, so I think I have to go somewhat overrated. It is a good show, it's just not near the level of Naruto and One Piece, respectfully. If you want to know why I believe so, well, Naruto and One Piece don't have a character nearly as bad as Uryu. That's first of all, but if you want to know my beef with Uryu, I made a whole video on that. But that's besides the point. Honestly, I think with Bleach, the pacing's pretty bad. A lot of the characters that are important feel unimportant. And the first show, I feel like there's a lot of nothing that happens, and the worst moments are always the longest. For example, Uryu's fight with the pink-haired guy was like 20 episodes. Ichigo versus Ulquiorra was 3. So, yeah, for me, it seems like they make the best moments the shortest and the worst moments the longest, and there is kind of a reason it used to be the most dropped anime for about 2 decades in a row, because it just has a lot of, I don't even want to say filler, because, like, I mean, obviously you skip the filler, but a lot of the canon episodes feel like filler themselves, so I'm going to go somewhat overrated. Next we have Bungo Stray Dogs. I love Bungo. It's so good. Honestly, I don't think it gets talked about enough. So obviously this is going to go in underrated. Don't want to go heavily underrated or somewhat underrated. I think the thing that holds it back is it does a lot of basic tropes, but I'd say they do them very well. Like, that's the thing I always say about Bungo, is like they do a lot of basic tropes, but they do them in such a unique way. So I'm not going to put it in heavily underrated. I'll put it in somewhat underrated. Next we have Chainsaw Man. Now, anytime you say, like, Chainsaw Man's not the best thing ever, people always say some bullshit about media literacy. Obviously, I'm going off anime only for this because I've read the manga for very few of them. But Chainsaw Man, you know, I'm just going to be honest, I do think it is somewhat overrated. I think the story is decent so far, but honestly, in the anime, there's, like, I feel like the characters haven't done enough to be real likable. Like, I like Rize, I like Beam. But even Denji, like, I feel like Denji hasn't even done enough for me to know who he is as a character. I know he wants to get some puss, and that's about it. Like, I don't really know anything about the characters. Aki, we know he wants to avenge his family, but, like, honestly, Aki probably has the most writing out of any character, and we don't even really know enough about him, right? So, I just think it's just somewhat overrated because we haven't got to a lot of the stuff yet. I think, like, the more and more it goes on, the more and more it's going to end up being perfectly rated, because I have seen stuff from the manga, but again, not going off that. And I think it will end up being a lot better than what it is now. And it is still good now, it's just, there's just not a whole lot there yet. So that's why I say it's somewhat overrated, because people act like it's the greatest anime ever and stuff like that, and people say all these awesome things about it. We're barely into it. Barely anything has happened. So I'm going to say somewhat overrated. Next, we have Code Geass. Oh, this one's tough. To me, Code Geass is a top 10 anime, and it's not my favorite, but it is top 10 for me for sure. And I think a lot of people have it top 10, so I should probably put it perfectly rated. But I'm leaning between perfectly rated and somewhat overrated because a lot of people say it's the greatest anime ever. But if it's in the top 10, you say it's your greatest, that's not crazy to say. So I'm going to put it in properly rated. Next, we have Cowboy Bebop. In my opinion, a top 5 anime of all time. I love Cowboy Bebop, and a lot of people love Cowboy Bebop, but I do think it is somewhat underrated because it is like a lot older, and I don't think a lot of people would have it in their top 10, which I think it should be because I think it is fantastic. So I'm going to go somewhat underrated. Next, we have Dragon Ball Z. I do like Dragon Ball. In my opinion, Dragon Ball goes like this. The original, Z, Super. It just goes downhill. Like, the original Dragon Ball, to me, is the absolute best. That is what Dragon Ball should be. And then Dragon Ball Z carries a lot of that over. But then once you get to, like, the Buu Saga, like, the Buu Saga just sucks. Let's be honest. I mean, it's just really not that good. And then you get into Super. Super's, like, up and down. Like, Tournament of Power was sick. But Universe 6 versus 7, sorry. That was like not really anything special. Future Saga was cool. Beerus Saga, and the big problem with Dragon Ball is it literally has no depth to it whatsoever. I think it's cool, but obviously I think a lot of you know where it's going to go. It's going to go in heavily overrated because a lot of people have this in their top 10 on anime, and I don't get why. It's good and it's enjoyable, and if you enjoy it, that's good. But for me, there's just not enough substance there to have it in heavily. Like, there's shows with like 20 episodes that have more substance in it than Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's just not a very in-depth show. That's fine. Obviously this is my opinion on overrated, underrated, and I have no problem if you like any of these shows that I put in overrated, underrated, right? Like, if you like Attack on Titan, I don't have a problem with that. It's just, for me, it's overrated because I don't like Titans. So I'm gonna go overrated for Dragon Ball. Heavily overrated, sorry. Next, we have Death Note. Oh, this is another one, dude. People glaze the hell out of Death Note. And don't get me wrong, Season 1 of Death Note all the way up until that one thing happens, if you know, you know, I don't want to spoil anybody, is perfect. That first season is genuinely perfect. Season 2 of Death Note is dog ass. It is actually terrible, and I think people just always forget about Season 2 because Season 1 was so good, and I get it. I want to forget about Season 2 and also pretend that Season 1 is the only one that exists, but Season 2 does exist, and it's not good. So I'm going to put it in somewhat overrated. I'm not going to put it in heavily overrated because the first season of Death Note is a masterpiece. It is one of the best like things you could watch, and then after the one thing happens, it becomes pretty bad. So I'm going to say somewhat overrated. Next, we have Death Parade. Honestly, this is the best 12-episode anime I've ever seen. It's the best looking 12-episode anime I've ever seen, if that makes sense, like appealing wise. To me, Death Parade is phenomenal. It is so good, and it is so, like, this is a show, for example, it has more depth than Dragon Ball, and it has 12 episodes. See, that's my thing, is like, that's why some of these shows do get overrated and stuff like that. But Death Parade is a lot to unpack in 12 episodes, and it is fantastic. I'm going to put Death Parade in heavily underrated because you don't hear that many people talk about it. But if you have like a day or two and you want to watch something quick, Death Parade is very, very good. So I'm putting heavily underrated. Next, we have Demon Slayer. I shouldn't even have to talk about this. Obviously, it's heavily overrated. It's decent, don't get me wrong, but for how popular it is, it ain't that good. There's not a whole lot of depth in Demon Slayer. A lot of the characters suck in Demon Slayer. The overall plot of Demon Slayer is kind of basic and boring, but that's honestly why a lot of people like it, is because there's not, much crazy shit going on. It's easy for anyone to understand, which is why a lot of people do like it, but there's so much better than Demon Slayer. There really is. There's anime that deserve to be in its position way more. So yeah, obviously heavily overrated. Even the other two and heavily over, which by the way, I don't think they're bad. Everything we ranked so far, by the way, I do like. I like all these shows. I'll let you know if I don't like a show, which we're gonna get to some, but I do like all these. It's just I do think they're overrated. Next, we have Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Now, to me, this is very good. I think it's 10 episodes. 10 episodes, very short anime, very good. I'm not a fan of the ending. I do think the ending is overrated. And honestly, actually, when I hear people talk about Cyberpunk, I have 2 friends that have it in their top 10, and to me, that's crazy. Like, top 10 I thought it was really good, but top 10 is nuts. But I don't know if I can rank it off that, because most people don't have it in their top 10, right? Most people do think it's good because it is good, so I probably should put it properly rated. But yeah, if you're putting it in your top 10, you either haven't seen a lot or, you know, you are kind of overrating it, in my opinion. So I'm going to go perfectly rated because I think most people recognize it's a really good show, but, you know, there's definitely better, right? So I think perfectly rated is fine. Oh, next we have Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail, The Power of Friendship Tale. Look, I like Fairy Tail, but Fairy Tail, it is the most night and day bipolar anime out there. You will go from one of the greatest arcs of all time in anime history to one of the worst arcs of all time in anime history, and that's all Fairy Tail is. You jump from great arc to bad arc to great arc to bad arc. Like, I don't understand how it happens, right? And I think more people overrate this show than they do underrate it. But I think a lot of people know it is kind of mid, right? Like, it's not anything special. But for example, like, I think I think the Tower of Heaven arc with Jalal and all them, that is one of the greatest arcs of anime I've ever seen. That arc is fantastic. And now talking about Edalus, that is one of the biggest piece of dog shit arcs I've ever seen in my entire life. I thought Edalus was trash. And so, yeah, they just jump back and forth from, like, good arc, bad arc, good arc, bad arc. And it's literally 50-50 almost. Like, there might be slightly more good arcs, but that's the big problem with Fairy Tail. And a lot of people, you know, not a lot of people, but a lot of people would say good things about Fairy Tail. And it really is, like, a mid-anime. So I'm going to say somewhat overrated. Next, we have Golden Kamuy. Oh, I know IMDb is doing it good right now, but nobody really talks about Golden Kamuy. It's one of those ones, it might be kind of like Baki. I think people know it's pretty funny. I think people know it's got a decent story. But nobody's really raving about it. And to me, that's because the story's kind of confusing at times. Like, I feel like they don't explain things very well in Golden Kamuy. So for me, I think it's probably going to go perfectly rated because I think people do know that, like, hey, it's a decent show, but it's not, you know, anything spectacular. So yeah. Next we have Gurren Lagann. Now, this one's going to be like the Attack on Titan one. Which, so you already know where it's going. There are certain things in shows that I really hate, so I'm gonna find them overrated, obviously. Yeah, because I hate mechs. Mechs to me are the worst type of show you can make. Mech shows are awful. They are terrible. They are the worst show out there, in my opinion. Right? So obviously, if, like, you know, them saying like, oh, mech show, and I know you're thinking Code Geass. Code Geass ain't really mechs. It's just got a minute, and that already was enough for me. But Gurren Lagann, you know, it's about mechs. I absolutely hate mechs. I think mechs ruin stories. Like, I don't understand why do it with a mech when you can do it with people. I don't get it. I feel like it takes the only characters out of the show, right? Like, so, it's pretty much the same thing with Attack on Titan, right? Like, I just don't like the Titans. If you like the Titans and if you like mechs, you probably would love these shows. But that's why I say they're overrated, because I don't like them. So, Gurren Lagann, heavily overrated just because it has mechs in it. I hate mechs. They're so stupid, in my opinion. Next, we have Hunter x Hunter. This is one I don't think we really need to talk about. A lot of people think Hunter x Hunter is fantastic. They think it's peak, and it is. It just needs to be finished. That's all there really is to say. It's perfectly rated. Next, we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, when I first started watching JoJo's, I would probably put it in underrated. After I finished JoJo, I was like, oh, it's perfectly rated. I think a lot of people think JoJo's is good. After running a TikTok anime page for a year now, yeah, this shit's definitely overrated, which is going to sound crazy because JoJo's is my second favorite show of all time. I love JoJo's. It's my second favorite show of all time. I love it. But JoJo fans, like people that talk about JoJo's, they meat ride the shit out of the show so bad. Like, I'm not going to go over specifics. You can literally find it on almost any post that has to do with JoJo's on my TikTok. Link in the description if you want, you know, daily anime content like that. But anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, if I don't have JoJo's at number one in everything, which, let's be realistic, no show's number one in everything. If I don't have it number one in everything, I'm an idiot. And, you know, I obviously don't like JoJo's. I think JoJo's is trash if I don't think it's number one at everything, which I don't understand. JoJo fans think if it's not number one in every little category, then it's not the best. Like, for example, like, let's say protagonist. There are shows with better protagonists than JoJo's. And people would be like, oh, you must hate JoJo's. Like, why would you do that? Like, it actually pisses me off when they say that shit, because JoJo's is my second favorite anime of all time. So, obviously, this is going to have to go in somewhat overrated, because they be overrating the shit out of this. Like, in my opinion, it's a top 2 show. How do you overrate it more than that? I don't know. They found a way. Next, we have JJK. I mean, before JJK was heavily overrated. Everybody's like, this is the greatest anime ever, greatest anime ever. And then people were saying it so much, then it became underrated because people were like, oh, JJK is like actually dog shit. Like, it's not really that good, right? This, and that. It literally has just like swung back and forth. Right now, I think we're at the point where it's like, I'd probably say properly rated. I mean, people know it's a good show, but nobody's over here raving about it. So I would say properly rated right now. But it really has swung back and forth. So properly rated for JJK. Next we have One Piece. I think most people that have watched One Piece will say it's very good. So for me, going to be properly rated. I just want to say one thing about One Piece. To the people that say the show is too long and that's why it's bad, it makes no sense. If you say, oh, the show's too long, so I don't want to watch it, that's fair. If you say it's bad because there's too many episodes, you're an idiot, because that makes no sense. I just wanted to say that because, you know, you could argue the people that say that it should go on somewhat underrated, but obviously if you haven't seen the show and you're saying it's bad because there's too many episodes, you are just a moron, so I'm not going to take your opinion on that, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to put it in perfectly rated. Next we have One Punch Man. Has it got to a point where it's underrated because of season 3? Nah, it had. I mean, One Punch Man's always been overrated. Always, always, always. I like One Punch Man. I think it's good, but One Punch Man just lacks a whole lot, and people don't really care because it's funny and it's a unique story, which is, yeah, I mean, that's good. But One Punch Man has always had really high numbers for some reason, and the biggest thing for me that makes it overrated is why has it ever done better than Mob Psycho? They're made by the same guy. Mob Psycho is a million times better than One Punch Man, but One Punch Man always gets all the credit, so obviously it's going to be overrated, mainly because of that reason, but yeah. Next we have Rave Master. I mean, this show sucks, and most people have never heard of it, and so they'd probably be like, wow, this show probably sucks, because I've never heard of it, and you'd be right, so perfectly rated. Next we have Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling is basically everything I said about Dragon Ball, but worse, because Dragon Ball there's a lot of characters. Solo Leveling, it's Sun Jin Woo or nobody. I know the name of one other actual person, like, obviously Igris and Barry are creatures, right, but like, I know Sun Jin Woo and I know Cha-In because I don't like Cha-In. That's why I know her, right? But like, nobody else in the story matters other than Sun Jin Woo. And Sun Jin Woo's not a bad character. Like, I'm not saying that. But like, what a boring story if only one person's important. You know what I'm saying? So obviously heavily overrated. I do like Solo Leveling though, I will say, but it is overrated. Oh, now we got Vinland Saga. Oh, this is one that a lot of people are not going to like. I hate Vikings too. Now, I don't heavily hate them as much as Mechs and Titans, so it's not going in heavily overrated. I'm debating if this goes in perfectly rated or somewhat overrated, because I really don't like Vikings. And I like everything about Thorfinn, but when there's an episode not about Thorfinn, I hate it. Like, I don't like Canute. I don't like Askeladd. I don't like Thorkel. I might have to go somewhat overrated. I'm not a big fan of Viking stuff or historic anime at all. So again, it's just another thing where it's like kind of my opinion, but obviously if we're doing overrated or underrated, it's going to be my opinion on the whole thing. I could rate everything by how they're written versus how they're perceived, but like, who gives a shit, right? It's not as fun talking about that because, I mean, most people could do that. So I'm going to go somewhat overrated because I don't like Vikings, right? But it is a very good show, I will say. Devil May Cry, the new one. This show actually gets a lot of hate, but a lot of people do like it as well. I think simply, it's not talked about quite enough. I thought it was pretty freaking good, especially for a Netflix-only anime. It was pretty fire. I think I'm going to go somewhat underrated. Never see anybody talking about this. Next we have D. Gray Man. Now, a lot of people haven't seen this, so it's hard to rank it. But I heard very good things about D. Gray Man. I watched it. It was not very good. I'm just going to be honest. Season 1, fantastic. Love Season 1. Season 2 is a snooze fest. It is so boring. Yeah, I have to go somewhat overrated then. I mean, I know it's not popular, so it's like, it should probably be underrated, but it's just not really that great, to be honest with you. It's like a way worse Full Metal. Next we have GTO. I think a lot of people know what GTO is. Obviously, they've seen the clips, they've seen the memes, but they haven't really watched it. I would say it's underrated. It's a good watch, right? It's not like heavily underrated like Death Parade, where that's like, whoa, that's like insane. How have I not seen this? How do more people not talk about this? Like, GTO is good, but like more people should talk about it. But yeah, it's not like anything groundbreaking. Sakamichi, I mean, does this show have fans? Does it? I finished season 1 of this, then season 2 came out. I did not watch it because the show is kind of mid. It's not bad, but it's just really not good. Like, basically my thought process was when season 2 started to come out, I was like, why would I watch this when there's definitely better for me to watch, right? That's kind of my whole thing about Tsukimichi. Like, whenever they're trying to be funny, it's pretty funny. Whenever they're not trying to be funny, the story's pretty bad. So it ends up you getting this weird balance. I'd say it's like a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 anime. Why would I watch that when there's other shit to watch, right? And so for me, it's like, it's just not really that good. But nobody also raves about it either. Nobody's like, well, this is a great show. So I guess it goes properly rated. I think most people would agree. When it's funny, it's pretty freaking funny. When it's just about the story going on, the story's quite boring. So I think most people would agree with that, right? Everyone I've talked to that's watched it agrees. Like, it is very funny, but it's not really that great. So yeah, I got properly rated. Next we have Ghost in the Shell. This is a masterpiece. As you can see in the fucking reviews, a visual masterpiece. If you don't know, Ghost in the Shell is the inspiration for a lot of movies. The Matrix is actually based on Ghost in the Shell. It is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. It is the greatest anime movie. Heavily underrated. Obviously does not get talked about enough. Next we have Kill la Kill. This show's just way too goony. I don't know if that's the right word, goony. There's too much gooning going on. Like, it's just a show about getting naked. It's alright. It's hard to watch because of all of it. I would go somewhat overrated because it is alright, but it's just a hard watch. I'm gonna go somewhat overrated. Psyche K, this show's not funny at all, and this is the only show I've actually ever fallen asleep to. I found it so incredibly boring. To me, I don't know how this is considered comedy. I just don't find it funny. I get maybe not my cup of tea. It's just not funny. Heavily overrated. Boruto. Honestly, Boruto is definitely somewhat underrated. If you skip the filler, which is about 90% of the anime, it's not bad. So we'll say somewhat underrated because it gets so much hate. But it does deserve it. It deserves it. I'm going properly rated. Yu Yu Hakusho, it's basically just Hunter x Hunter but finished. And I know a lot of people do not like the ending of Yu Yu Hakusho, which I don't understand. The ending fits perfectly. I see people like it was rushed. How was it rushed? Why? Like, I thought it was great. I didn't see the issue with the Yu Yu Hakusho ending. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the whole show was fantastic. It's pretty much Hunter x Hunter, obviously made by the same guy, but not talked about as much. And to me, it is one of the best anime I've ever seen. I'm going heavily underrated. And the people that have watched it even underrated because the ending is good. Doraemon, this is going to be heavily overrated. There's just so much better kid shows. I don't know why you'd watch this. That's just pretty much why. Okay, so apparently this is a hot take. I think this show sucks. And I made my anime review on it, and people are like, oh, this has to be a troll or something like that. Like, did you watch it with your eyes closed or something like that? The show sucks. I don't understand how people like this show. It's a show about skating, and yes, they do skate. I will say, it's not like they don't, but it's more of a slice of life. And the main character doesn't do shit for half the show. The blue hair guy is like, oh yeah, I skated, and now I'm gonna come here skateboard, and I'm better than everybody. And then you got a furry who wants to race people to turn people into his pet cat. It's just not good. The main villain likes kids. Like, it's just not a good show. Like, I don't understand. It's just not good at all. It is heavily overrated because apparently people like the show, and to me, it was horrible. This was one of the only shows on here that I think is bad. Like, even Tsukimichi I don't think is bad. Out of the shows we've had, Rave Master's bad, Psyche K's bad, and Skate the Infinity. It's heavily overrated. It's a bad show. And Boruto, obviously. Next we have Rurouni Kenshin. Now, this is obviously going to land in underrated just because the author is a piece of shit, so a lot of people aren't going to read it because he's a piece of shit, and that's totally valid. But then it does become underrated because people aren't watching it, and it is really good. It is really good. So we got somewhat underrated because the people that look past the author being an not even an asshole, a piece of shit human being, they know it's pretty good, but yeah, it's underrated because people don't give a shot because of that. So yeah. Next we have The God of High School. If we're going off anime only, I mean, it's dog shit. It is dog shit, but nobody talks about it, so maybe perfectly rated, but it is so ass. Oh my god, it's so bad. It's such a massacre of the manhwa or webtoon or whatever. Like, you hear about it all the time, like Tokyo Ghoul, like, there's nothing like the manga. I haven't read Tokyo Ghoul or watched it, so I can't say, but this shit ain't even close. 12 episodes of the anime cover 120 chapters. Now, I know what you're thinking. Whoa, that's really fast pacing, right? You know, maybe it's not that bad. Yeah, the average chapter in God of High School is like 100 pages long. That's over 1,000 pages in 12 episodes. It's terrible. It is terrible. I guess it has to go perfectly rated, though, because nobody talks about it for a good reason, because they butchered it. It's actually a phenomenal show. manhwa webtoon, whatever. It's phenomenal, but yeah, they butchered it. So I'm gonna go perfectly rated. This is the biggest heaping piece of dog shit show I've ever seen in my life. This is the worst show I've ever watched ever. I don't even need to go into detail because I don't like a single thing about this show other than the opening. The opening's kind of solid. Other than that, this show's like the worst show of all time. Genuinely, I genuinely believe that. There's not a show worse than this. It is terrible. Obviously heavily overrated because the fact it gets watched is ridiculous. All right, next we have Mashal. Mashal I thought was just funny little joke show, which it is for the most part, but I thought, oh, funny little joke show making fun of Harry Potter or whatever. I watched it. There is more than that. It is mainly a comedy show, but there is more than that. It's got a decent story going on. It's got very likable characters, and obviously it's super funny. So I would say it is somewhat underrated. I know when it came out, it was very popular, and then the opening of Season 2 came out, and that was really popular, but I do think, in general, it's still underrated. I think it's a pretty solid show, so I'm going to go somewhat underrated. Ippo's so hard to rank. Ippo's so good. It is so good, and everybody knows it's so good. So it's gonna have to go properly rated. Man, just finish the anime, bro. Like, I don't understand why they canceled that shit. I'm gonna go properly rated. It's so good. Windbreaker. Windbreaker's alright. I don't know about the public consensus of Windbreaker, because there's some people that I see that are like, Windbreaker's trash, and to those people I'd be like, oh, you're underrating it. It ain't that bad. And there's some people that think like Windbreaker's really good, and I'm like, alright, you're overrating it. It ain't that good. So I guess it would have to go perfectly rated, because I think, you know, the consensus would end up being it's all right, and it is all right. Like, it's not great, but it's not bad either. So I go perfectly rated. Next we have Pokemon. I'm gonna be honest, this is gonna be heavily overrated. There's like 3 good seasons of the Pokemon show, and people claim they love the anime, even though they don't watch it. You know they don't fucking watch it. Like, because I remember I did my anime review on Pokemon, and I've talked about Pokemon before the show, and people were like, oh, it's actually one of the best anime ever. You don't fucking watch it, because there's no way you come to that consensus, because there are, like, Indigo League, fantastic, Diamond and Pearl, fantastic, I even like Black and White, right, and even one of the new ones, like one of the Sun and Moon ones, was pretty freaking good. The rest of them suck, like some of them are good, and some of them are bad. I'm gonna have to go heavily overrated, because the perception behind the Pokemon anime is very high, and it ain't that good, so I'm gonna go heavily overrated. Sword Art Online, this kind of started the isekai wave, which is weird because it's not even an isekai. Like, it does not fit isekai. They don't die and go to a new world or anything like that. They literally just put on a headset and game. I hate isekais, so it started a bad trend in my opinion, but I can't hold it back for that. You know, I can't. Sword Art Season 1, fantastic. Very good. Season 2 was alright. Everything past Season 2 and the original, I don't know about Gun, I'm not watching it, is ass. So I'm only going to put in somewhat overrated, because a lot of people do agree with me that Sword Art did fall off. So I'm only putting somewhat overrated, but oh man, it fell off after the first 2 seasons. Blue Exorcist is definitely underrated. I wouldn't say heavily underrated. There's not a whole lot of depth there. It's not a life-changing anime. It's not a must-watch or anything, but it is a decent show that doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm going to go somewhat underrated. My Hero. My Hero's hard because it has a lot of haters and it has a lot of lovers. Like, obviously the My Hero fan base is dog shit, and there's a lot of people that hate on My Hero mainly because of the fan base, but they'll, you know, hate on it anyway. My Hero is a phenomenal show. It is very good. Is it as good as the fan base makes it, to where you got to ship every male character together for no reason? No. It is as bad as the other people hating on the fan base and saying the show is gay and weird? No. It's a phenomenal show. It really is very good. And you have 2 sides of the spectrum. You have overly hating on My Hero and overly loving on My Hero. So I think, again, it's going to have to come in the middle and go perfectly rated, because to the average person who's not a glazer and a hater, you're going to watch My Hero and be like, that's a pretty good show, because it is. So I'm going to go perfectly rated. Next we have Assassination Classroom. I feel bad because I do remember enjoying this show, but it is going to have to be overrated, because this show did have some traction for a while, and it's honestly so forgettable. It's the most forgettable show I think I've watched. I've watched all of it, and I remember enjoying it, and I can remember one thing that happens in the whole show, and I've seen all of it, and I only remember the ending. So, yeah, I honestly think it has to be a little overrated. It's just a very forgettable show, but, you know, it was decent. Somewhat overrated. Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist is a top 10 anime, and a lot of people have it at number 1. A lot of people call it perfect. And I know what you're thinking, having it at number 1, calling it perfect, got to be overrated. It's not, dude. It is a arguably perfect show. So yeah, it's gotta be perfectly rated. It's definitely a top 10 anime. Next we have Mob Psycho 100. This should be in everyone's top 10 as well. In my opinion, it is a life-changing anime. It is a phenomenal anime. It is something that is a must-watch for anybody who watches anime. It is that good. And again, we go back to the point with One Punch Man. One Punch Man gets talked about more than it, and they're made by the same guy. One Punch Man is a million times better. It is one of the greatest anime of all time, hands down. It's got to go heavily underrated because it doesn't get regarded as such, but it is. Black Clover. Black Clover is obviously a part of the new gen anime, you know, the group of 6 or whatever. I'm not calling it by that bullshit name. But Black Clover, it's pretty freaking good. Black Clover is my 3rd favorite anime, actually. I do love it a lot. And so for that reason, I'm going to put in somewhat underrated because I don't think a lot of people have it top 10 or even as the best new gen. I do believe it's the best new gen anime, so I'm going to go somewhat underrated for Black Clover because most people as well, they do like Black Clover, so it can't be heavily underrated. Like it's talked about a lot as well. So I'm gonna have to go somewhat underrated. To me, it's top 10 anime. Naruto, again, this is one that's in most people's top 10, so it's gonna have to be perfectly rated. To me, Naruto is the greatest anime of all time. It's the greatest show of all time. It is the greatest show of all time. It's the greatest piece of media ever. So for me, obviously, it's gonna have, you know, I could be like, oh, it's underrated because people don't have it at number 1. I think that's bullshit. You have it top 10, it's good enough. Most people have Naruto top 10. So I think it's going to go perfectly rated because top 10 is close enough to top 1, right? So yeah, perfectly rated there. Next we have Fire Force. Fire Force gets way too much hate for the Tamaki, fan service. And a lot of the shows on here have way more fan service. And I remember one argument against that was like, yeah, but Tamaki's is more annoying. How can it be more annoying if it's not really there? Now I'm hiccuping. Okay. How can it be more annoying if it's like not really there? Like she has fan service in maybe 5 episodes, maybe 6 max. There's not really that much fan service. I think it's blown out of the water. People hating on it. It's not bad at all. So for that, it is going to go somewhat underrated, but obviously a lot of people think Fire Force is still a great show. So yeah, it's just going to be somewhat underrated. To Be Hero X, man, I saw the hype about this. This was the only 2025 anime I watched, actually. But I saw a lot of hype about To Be Hero X. A lot of people, you know, were like, wow, this is fantastic. It's phenomenal. And then all the ratings came out. And it had like 3 episodes under a 9 out of 10. And I was like, there's no way it's that good. It's that good. It is very, very good. To Be Hero X is phenomenal. And I cannot wait for season 2. Because what's crazy is you heard all that shit I just said about how good it is and the ratings and stuff because it was rated phenomenally. Season 1 was a setup season, and it's that good. So yeah, it's gonna have to go perfectly rated for me. It's a phenomenal show, and most people agree. Next we have Samurai Champloo, made by the creator of Cowboy Bebop, in the same universe as Cowboy Bebop actually. And to me, it's one of those must-watches as well, and it gets talked about even less than probably all of them, and heavily underrated, to be honest. Samurai Champloo does not get talked about a lot, and it is another must-watch in my opinion. It is a fantastic show. Watanabe, I forgot his first name, I can't remember now at this point. Shin something, I think. He's a fantastic director. Samurai Champloo is one of the best anime of all time for sure. I don't think it's quite my top 10, but it's in my top 20, and it's a must-watch, so I'm gonna go heavily underrated. Fate Zero. Ooh. I've only seen Fate Zero. I haven't seen the rest of them. I'm gonna be honest. Fate is overrated. It's kind of just like my points on Dragon Ball. It's just cool fights. Really, the story's not really that great. Other than Kiritsugu stuff. Like Dragon Ball, you have some stories that are good, some that are not. Fate, I'd say the same thing. Like Kiritsugu's backstory and his reasoning for doing shit was great. The other 5 contestants I couldn't give a shit about. Most of the people they summoned couldn't give a shit about. I liked Ryder and Gilgamesh. It's like Saber's lame as well, honestly. It's a good show. It just really is heavily overrated because it just isn't like anything. It's really not anything special. It's just cool fights. Like that's really all Fate is. So I'm gonna go heavily overrated. Next we have Trigun. To me, this is another must-watch. Absolutely another must-watch. Trigun is fantastic. And so for me, I have to put in heavily underrated. People don't talk about Trigun enough. Don't watch the new one. New one's dog shit. Trigun, though, it's got to be heavily underrated. So good. Oh, we have D-Gray Man on here again. I forgot I have it on here twice. Whatever. Next we have Tokyo Revengers. It's alright. Again, you have a lot of people that hate on. It's similar to Windbreaker. It's going to go perfectly rated then, I guess. Next we have Dr. Stone. This is what I'm watching right now. And so I'm going to have to give it perfectly rated because I like it, and I think a lot of people like it. So, yeah, I can't say too much. It's currently what I'm watching. And then we have Pluto. Is this the last one? Or there might be another one after Pluto, I think. I've never heard of this. I got recommended it. I watched it, loved it, heavily underrated. Erased. Ooh, I think this is the last one. Erased is dead. Like, I don't know if it's life-changing, but it's a must-watch. Erased is a must-watch. It's got to be heavily underrated, right? Like, nobody really talks about it. It's a must-watch, so heavily underrated for sure. And that's our list. Again, I know that some of you are going to be like, especially like Attack on Titan. I know Attack on Titan's got a lot of glazers, but I know y'all are going to be like, oh, well, what's it called? I know y'all are going to be like, oh, just because you don't like Titans and make it overrated, things like that. Like, but, you know, it's my list. And I don't care if you like Attack on Titan. I think it's a good show. I just think it is heavily overrated, you know, so yeah, but it's crazy how many people will get like really upset that I don't think it's the best show ever, and it's like, it's crazy. Like, I think Naruto is the best show ever. If you don't think Naruto is even, you got to think it's one of the greats, though, for sure. Nah, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but I don't think I'd get mad if somebody came up to me and was like, Naruto's trash. I'd be like, I think you're wrong, but whatever. Not even that, but if someone's like, I don't have Naruto in my top 10. All right, that's fine. You know, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's crazy to say, like, you don't like stuff. Like, you don't like stuff, you don't, right? Yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Sorry for the yap sesh at the end. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Peace.